Welcome back to Sunday AM. Nowadays, adolescents, parents and young children are more likely to experience feelings of anxiety, stress and depression, especially during exam season. This morning, we're looking at the foods you can eat to achieve a healthy and happy mind.
Indeed, and joining us now is nutritionist Heather Leeson. You're very welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
Heather.
Good morning.
Risky enough time, especially in teenage years, for stress and anxiety anyway.
Yeah.
Never mind landing
it is.
exams on top of it.
It is, and I think the exams can just be the crunch point for a lot of people. You're trying to study hard and you're maybe not sleeping enough, which is really important for your mental health. Maybe not exercising. And again, there's so much research in terms of short and long-term mental health about exercise, how it helps you to feel better. Also helps your brain to develop, so you learn, the centres for learning and memory expand. And there's really interesting study in Cork that showed that children who kept up sport for those 2 years before the Leaving Cert did 25 points better in the Leaving. So that's actually keeping active really helpful.
What are the bad things that people are doing right now, people are at the middle of exams, that they shouldn't be doing in terms of their lifestyle?
Okay, not getting enough sleep, not exercising at all. Probably drinking too much caffeine is one that it's an easy trap, whether you're in exams or just busy at work, is an easy one to fall into.
What's classified as too much?
So there is a little bit of benefit to drinking caffeine. A small amount will help focus and concentration, but the benefit peaks at about 2 cups a day, not for the morning. And after that, it can have a negative effect. It's a stimulant. So it can make you a little bit jittery. It can actually negatively impact your concentration. And of course, it can impact your sleep because it's a drug, it's a stimulant. It stays in your system for hours. So 6 hours after you've had a cup of coffee, half of that caffeine is still floating around your system. So if you've had a cup of coffee at 8 o'clock at night, might impact your ability to get into deep sleep and recover and perform well the next day.
And then that's the next day written off then as well.
Exactly. And it's not just in coffee or tea. Tea has half of the amount of caffeine as coffee. Thinking as well, those energy drinks that you see, particularly coming up to exam time, loads of people drinking, and they're the lethal combination of tons of caffeine and tons of sugar. They are pretty awful for you. So I would caution against those. Actually, it'd be better with a cup of coffee earlier in the day, a cup of coffee or two. But instead of that, staying hydrated, very, very important. Drinking lots of water throughout the day. We know it helps focus, concentration. And there was an interesting study recently that showed having a glass of water before a test actually improved the results of the test. It improves your brain's ability to work. So that's a quick tip for anyone in the morning.
So a glass of water just right before?
Yeah. Have a glass of water. Exactly.
Statistics and research today, the stats are frightening. Between 25% of Irish teenagers surveyed and up to 40% of teenagers in a recent Northern Ireland study worried about their mental health and their anxiety. So yes, we're talking about exam time at the moment, but these are tips and this is advice you're giving us for our young people in this country. Long term, because we have to nurture and sort of foster this sense of healthy living.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a whole approach. It's not just cramming for exam time.
No, exactly. And that's really a really important point. And there are a couple of things in terms of food that you can do to support your brain health. Now, one of them I've talked about before, which is eating omega-3 rich foods, and they're particularly I'm talking about your oily fish, things like salmon, sardines, mackerel, and getting those into your diet. We know that for children, we've got small children, so eating enough omega-3 helps their brain to develop properly and actually confers an IQ advantage at the age of 8, some studies show.
And how much is too much and how much is perfect? Twice a week?
Probably nothing, probably no such thing as too much. Really? When we check people's levels in clinic, about 80% of people have too little omega-3 in relation to other fats. Eating fish 3 times a week would do it.
Needless to say, that if you have a load of fish today, it's not necessarily going to help you pass the exam tomorrow. But this is long-term stuff. This is maybe people doing the Leaving next year.
Yeah, that's it. Or, for all of us, long-term, even when we're getting older, we know omega-3 helps prevent the onset of dementia, for example. So there's lots of reasons why you'd eat omega-3, not just coming up to exams.
But the chefs on this show, Heather, they pull their hair out. Like for an island, we eat such a small amount of fish.
It's and always the same. Always, cod and a little bit of salmon.
And the Mediterranean diet, of course, is deemed as one of the healthiest.
Exactly.
And as far as I can see, because I married into a wonderful Spanish family, they never stop eating.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Small amounts
and we have fabulous fish, like mackerel's still cheap as well.
I'm sure his granny's Italian. That's your excuse.
True,
never stops either.
Yeah. Tell us about the bacteria.
Yeah, so that's the other aspect of brain health, which you don't think of. And actually, a lot of our brain chemicals are produced in our gut. And there's amazing research being done in University Cork with 2 professors down there looking at what we call the microbiome. That's the 2 pounds of bacteria we have in our gut. gut. And looking after those is really important for our mental health, whether you're doing an exam tomorrow or you just want to stay sharp and focused. Kind of 4 things that they talk about there. First of all, eating probiotic foods, the bacteria-containing foods. For us, that's normally natural yogurt, which you could have in something like with granola for your breakfast. Also, more exotic things like kombucha and miso paste. A lot of people might have seen miso, don't know how to use it. And of course you can have miso soup, but something like this light miso paste is really nice in a salad dressing, a bit of toasted sesame oil, a little bit of maple syrup, or you mix it with peanut butter and you make a nice probiotic spread.
Gets those bacteria.
So that puts the bacteria in, then you need to feed them, and that's fibre containing foods like your fruit and vegetables.
We do have graphics now for people who are feeling a little bit stressed, whether you're doing exams or not, at home. These are sort of tips, the basic tips that we know, but seeing them there in a list, eat every 4 hours.
Yes.
People forget that if they're studying.
Yeah, they do. And it's important because you run out of fuel and then you start to lose focus and concentration. And avoiding the sweet treats, the temptation is grab something quick like a chocolate bar, but if you can fuel yourself better, your brain will perform better as well. So that's having something like nuts and seeds. I've got a few examples here, like the walnuts with apricots, or some sort of veggie with hummus, even these kind of snack pots that you can buy everywhere.
For the chocolate bar or
get the instant hit,
because they think, but this is obviously going to give them a lot longer lasting.
That's going to give you longer lasting concentration and focus, so really helpful. And also smoothies, think something like a fruit smoothie that has a bit of protein like yogurt in it, so that's going to keep you going for longer. And sometimes you just want a little bit of a sweet.
So think of it as fuel.
And then just some general tips for around exam time. I mean, getting the sleep, obviously very important, getting the exercise and the healthy breakfast, drink plenty of water. I mean, just to recap what you said there, bring one of these snacks with you.
Exactly, and bring something with you to keep you going through the day. Yeah,
lovely.
It's all there.
Good luck, everyone.
So much. Great tips.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.